I want to go back, and this is um, appeal to Gandalf the White, my good friend. The Section 230 was part of some package passed in 96. Is that right?
The Telecommunications Act of 1996.
So was it? So, and this was Chris Cox and Ron Wyden, and this is probably still true today. But back when Ron Wyden was in the House, he was one of the good guys on speech, in particular, and tech stuff.
Sure.
We hosted him at one of our events, as I recall. I don't think it's an accident that happens in 96, and afterwards you see this massive explosion of new voices in politics and ideas.
Absolutely.
But tell people the story of why they did that and what the legislation says.
Well, I mean, it's basically, it comes down to liability. Are you going to be liable for what one of your users posts online? And they carved out a little, as long as it's not a federal crime and you're not, breaking a federal law, you don't have the liability to police every single post on your site. I mean, can you imagine how the internet would have evolved if you had active sort of editing of every single post that was on MySpace, I guess, back in the day,
Yeah.
or the AOL bulletin boards?
Adam's older than we are, so.
But yeah, so
it's impossible to imagine like none of this would have happened.
But
right.
not only that, we have a real world experiment in this, because in a transatlantic sense, like, look what happened to Europe. I mean, America's permissionless innovation model, the secret sauce behind it was really Section 230 from a policy perspective. Section 230 made it so that it was safe for innovators and entrepreneurs to launch the next great idea without fear of punishing liability. Because we always talk about regulation and all of its dangers, and that's true. But man, we've got a trial lawyer problem in this country in a big way too. And Section 230 insulated our best innovators in this new digital commerce area from that sort of onerous liability. Meanwhile, in Europe, it was like open season for regulators and for trial lawyers. And I asked people, 25 years later, I'm like, name me one leading information technology company headquartered in Europe today. Just one. And they really struggle. Well, every once in a while, I'll say Spotify, and I'm like, I'll give you Spotify. Now give me a second, but Spotify isn't that big, and it's just an app, right? And it's a recent one. They don't have any players.
Just hasn't been the same since Neil left.
It really hasn't. But the reality is that this is, from a perspective of economists and political scientists, we care about natural world experiments and what they can teach us. Mm-hmm. And over the last 25 years, America has become the dominant player in the digital technology space and the envy of the world. Even if they want to come out and regulate our companies, it's because they don't have any companies of their own to regulate, right? That was because Section 230 gave us that. And there was one other important thing that happened at the same time. The Clinton administration came out with a vision document called the Framework for Global Electronic Commerce, which in my opinion is the single most libertarian policy document ever published by any government in history. And it was done by the Clinton administration and written by Ira Magaziner, no less, the author of Hillary Care. But he came out with a document that basically said, like, we should have a market-driven arena for digital commerce, we should have free trade, and when we have problems develop, we should have more decentralized solutions, multi-stakeholder processes, crowdsourced solutions. It was a beautiful vision for a new emerging technology that said we're going to firewall off the new digital world from the old analog hell that the FCC and other regulators had put us in. And now today, I'm really sad to see so many people want to just throw all that out and just basically say, no, like, let's hit the reset button and go back and see if we can try some old ideas. You mean like the fairness doctrine?
Yeah.
You mean like common carriage? I mean, do you remember using a black rotary dial phone and we thought innovation back then was a longer cord and a different color on the handset? That's not the world we want to go back to, but that's the world we have if we get rid of Section 230.